Hello, we're going to talk about the pronunciations of our Unit 1, Part 3 vocabulary words. So if you turn to page 16 in your Word Wisdom workbook, you can follow along with me and look at the words and also pronounce them with me. So the first word is disgusting. Disgusting. You guys probably all know what that word means, but make sure that you know how to spell it too. And the prefix dis is going to be seen in another vocabulary word from the list. D-I-S-G-U-S-T-I-N-G, disgusting. The next word is confection. So a couple things I want to point out with this word. First is the prefix con, C-O-N. That means with, confection. C-O-N signals to you that the word has something to do with. And then T-I-O-N always means that the word is a noun. If the word has a T-I-O-N at the end of it, if the suffix is a T-I-O-N, then the word is absolutely a noun. Now, confection means that it has sugar. A confection means with sugar. And if you go into your pantry at home, you should find, or maybe you'll find some confectionery sugar, and ask your parents or guardian or grandparents to show you that if they have it in the pantry. All right. Concoction, again, with, C-O-N, and then it has a T-I-O-N at the end, which signals that it's a noun. So concoction. The next one is distasteful. It has that prefix D-I-S and then tasteful. Look at the word closely. A lot of people, when they're spelling this word, they want to forget about the E. Don't do that. It needs an E. The E is what makes the A long. Distasteful. Also, notice there's just one L at the end. I know that F-U-L-L is a word, F-U-L-L, but when we're talking about the suffix, F-U-L is all you need. You do not need two L's there. Next word is the word palatable. Okay, think of your palate. When you're eating, you have a palate that you're tasting with, and that is what is the word palatable is based on. So palatable. Don't say table. It's palatable. And there are 3 A's in the word, but they are not all long. These are both short, and palatable. Okay. Next one is putrid. And then delicacy, you guys know the word delicate, and just if you remember that, you will not put an S-Y. A lot of people want to spell delicacy with an S-Y, but it's delicacy with a C-Y, because if you wanted to spell delicate, it would be C-A-T-E. Delicacy. Oh, it just dropped one. The next one is sumptuous. Sumptuous. A lot of people forget about either the P or the T when they're spelling it. Sumptuous. And then the T-U and then the O-U-S. Remember that. Sumptuous. The last word, or maybe two more. Wait, two more. Rancid. It's a synonym to putrid, also a synonym to disgusting, also a synonym to distasteful. So I think you can probably figure out what it means. And then the last word is contaminate. And notice it has a C-O-N, so with. It means it's with something. So contaminate is the last word of the unit, part 3 words. All right, so let's go over this again, and then we'll be able to go over some of the exercises. So disgusting, confection, concoction, distasteful, palatable, putrid, delicacy, sumptuous, rancid, and contaminate. So on this word list, I will say that there are a lot of words that mean the same thing. And I'm going to separate these cards for you so you can look at them. All right, so rancid and putrid and distasteful and disgusting are all words that mean yucky, gross. But there's a hierarchy. So if something was really, 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 really gross, then you would use rancid or you would use putrid. If something was just like, so-so, then maybe you would say distasteful. Or maybe, and then if something was not rancid or putrid and not so-so disgusting, but just like, well, in between, then you'd say disgusting. I feel like the hierarchy is distasteful is maybe the politest thing to say. Disgusting can be a little ruder. And then rancid and putrid are just like absolutely a horrible, horrible thing to say to the chef. Okay. Then we have the word sumptuous and the word delicacy. And think about, a fine dining experience. You'd want it to be sumptuous. You'd want to be served delicacies. You'd want it to be a very unique and, an experience that you'd want to write home to your parents about. The word palatable, that tricky word palatable, it just means something that's good enough to eat. So if you were starving, you would absolutely eat it and it would satiate you and you would feel, satisfied and you'd feel like it was a good meal, but it wasn't like amazing. It's just a palatable meal. It's good enough to eat. So when you think about insipid is, bland and kind of flavorless, but insipid food is also palatable. It's good enough to eat, all right? It does the job, but it's definitely not something that maybe you'd want to say, oh man, I want to try to cook this at home. I want to try to repeat this recipe. But palatable, good enough to eat, or just good enough to listen to, or good enough to read. It's just anything that's good enough, but not the best. And it's certainly not bad either. Palatable. So concoction, the word concoction is a mixture of something. So I always think about smoothies. Smoothies are a great example of concoctions because it's just a mixture of a lot of different ingredients. And concoctions, though, can be disgusting or they can also be really, really good. You can mix hot dogs and ice cream and relish and sardines into a blender, or you could mix a banana and chocolate and milk into a blender. And you'd have two concoctions, but one would be great and one would be, Confection. Go into your pantry, ask your parents or your guardian, your grandparents, or wherever you are right now. Say, hey, do you have any confectionery sugar? Confection is a type of sugar. Confectionery sugar is an actual type of sugar. And then a confection is anything that's sweet. So if you go to, a dessert place or if you go to a candy shop, then you'd be seeing a lot of confectionery products. Contaminate is something that has something in it that is not good for you. If the water is contaminated, do not drink it. If your food has been contaminated, do not eat it. So those are your vocabulary words. You should have all of the Unit 1, Part 3 exercises complete by the end of the week. So don't forget to do that. And also don't forget to practice your spelling and your pronunciations of these words. All right, see you in class.